Hey everyone, we are glad to have you with us in Khalifa University's third Startup Grind chapter event. Today, we have Mr. Abdul Aziz with us. He's a PhD student at the Mechanical Department here at Khalifa University, in addition to being the founder of Mashyah, a company born out of his own thesis, which focuses on providing personalized precision healthcare through robust, easy-to-use gait analysis for hospital patients and beyond. Mr. Abdul Aziz will now commence his presentation. Mr. Abdul Aziz, we are glad to have you with us.
Motion assessment tool that's assisting clinicians to determine diagnostic conditions like how people walk and what do these conditions mean. Now, according to the WHO survey, about 1.7 billion people suffer from musculoskeletal disorders, like they're unable to walk properly because of some muscles or skeletal issues. And nearly 60 million people suffer from neurological conditions. Now, why I'm giving you a brief, like all of a sudden numbers, because when you go to business, what is your customer base? It matters how many people are suffering from this problem and how many people need a solution for this. We also have people from injuries like trauma and a trauma which causes 20 to 30 million people with motion disorders. And all of this results in people not walking properly. What do we do when we are unable to walk properly? We end up at a physiotherapist or any clinician for that matter. And people at this point judge your ability to perform basic activities by initially like your sit to stand, and the second stage is how you walk. Currently, all of the clinicians, they judge you with their visual observation as it is seen here in the video, if the animations are working, which is he's just observing how the lady walks. Now, this is qualitative. Like a doctor, early in the morning, he's energetic, but late in the evening, he's tired. So the results are not going to be same. Whereas when we use technology, some research labs are equipped with all of these fancy equipments, but they are too bulky and not possible for every clinic. So here's the problem which needs to be solved. And additionally, all of these equipments do not provide something like joint loading assessment. So as part of my master's, we came up with a solution to make an index that can provide patient-specific quantitative motion assessment. So what does this mean? For each and every individual, we can quantify or provide a number how good or how bad this person is performing as compared to a baseline. So as compared to a normal population. This can provide the clinicians with data-driven decision making. So by data-driven, like these are big fancy words of AI, machine learning people, what's data-driven? It's providing a direction based on something that's backed up. And what we want to provide is full body joint motion assessment and thereby enhancing the treatment provided by clinicians. Now, how do we do this? Okay, there were fancy equipments, there were huge equipments. So what we came up with, we had sensors which are miniaturized and attached to a human body. We make a person walk with these sensors, we measure the data, and then we process this data to provide the clinician with a report about each and every joint of the body, the muscles of that person, and how this person is performing as compared to a baseline. All of these solutions were developed as part of the thesis, but we contacted clinicians in UAE, and we're testing this solution at Cleveland Clinic for people with neurological disorders currently. What came up as how big is the market and what is our serviceable obtainable market, like what is the market that we can right away target? So in UAE alone, we have 8 to 10,000 people who are suffering from stroke, and this causes a major motion impairment to these population. Now clinicians, they don't want those bulky equipments, and the subjective evaluation that these people are doing is not very accurate. So what we aim to provide is nearly 1 million assessments annually in UAE alone, based on the breakdown from the 1.8 billion globally in the near future. Now you need experts. So I'm a PhD student, and my team comprises of two professors, Dr. Marwan Al-Rish from the mechanical department and Dr. Kinda Khalaf from the biomedical department, who are providing their expertise in biomedical and biomechanics of how to assess people, how to do the modeling, and the other technical and non-technical support. What do we believe in Mashyah? That every individual has like the right for a precision healthcare. And with this solution, we aim to provide a roadmap, or we aim to assist UAE in getting a P4 medicine policy wherein we predict the medicine before time, we prevent it, we provide a participatory tool wherein we engage with the clinicians in providing personalized solution healthcare. We were motivated by the words of UAE founder Sheikh Zayed, Allah yarham, that as we progress in the life, problems are changing. They're no longer the same problems that we had like 10 years ago. They don't exist at this point, or those are very small. Just think about COVID was something that was totally unexpected. So in order to be prepared for the future problems, we need to use our time and our energy that is available currently to diversify these energy and develop solutions that can come up and bring about solutions in the near future. So what's the end goal out of this? So I don't want to go much into the technicalities, but the main initiative is we had a thesis, and we are trying to transform this thesis into a product that can be used right away in the market. As students, I believe like our course projects, our thesis, and our minor contributions, like think about it as a basic MATLAB project, you can do something that can add small values to the industry and make products. Make it technical, and rather than making it too sci-fi or too hi-fi, we can target smaller chapters of the society and assist them in how to overcome problems. Like it was a short presentation because I don't want to give you a brief overview about how the technology works, but if you have questions, I'm welcome for these. I'm more than happy to get to your questions.
Hello, Abdul Aziz.
Yeah,
We can see your camera.
thank you.
So, I would like to have a question of my own to begin the process of asking questions. So basically, you had a research area, and then when did it hit you that this research could become a company?
So when we started speaking with clinicians, so we had collaborations with clinicians in the UAE and abroad, and we found out like in being in a research lab, you think like everything is present everywhere. Now even the best of the best clinics don't have a gate lab, so it hit us like why don't they have a gate lab or a motion assessment lab? And then when we dig deep into this, we found out like oh it's bulky. Then the second and the major part is clinicians, even though they say they're very tech savvy, but they're not. So even if you give them an iPad to use, right, they're like, oh, can you just give me what I want? And that's when it hit us. Like, can we be that connection of the clinician to the technology and provide him what exactly he wants rather than like, giving him all of these equipments to play with.
When you thought about this possibility of turning this bulky thing into something smaller or much more acceptable, did you were you scared that this might not be possible, or did you just say, hey, let's try anyway?
Well, the question is even now, this question exists like, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? But our initial results were quite promising, and we were in the middle of a pandemic. So this was not the first company which I pitched for. I pitched for a similar thing in the UA Space Agency. We failed, yes. And this was like the third or fourth pitch which made it through the pitching sessions, and we are in the process of getting funding from KIC. But yes, it has gone through its ups and downs. So eventually, like in the process of like my master's was a trial and error phase where we tried, we pitched, and like people were saying, oh, this is not needed, this is too bulky. But eventually I think we made it through.
Thank you. Does anybody else have questions of their own? Please go ahead.
Hello, am I
Isa?
audible?
Yeah. Yeah. Could you speak a bit louder, Isa?
Thank you, Mr. Abdul Aziz. Uh, this is very inspiring that you converted your master's thesis into a company. I just want to know how do you manage your time along with the coursework and the research?
So that's a nice question. But yeah, it's like a balance, as this is part of my thesis as well. So we kind of like balance between the two. It's difficult, but yeah, alhamdulillah, it goes along.
thank you. Somebody else had their hand raised. Okay. If nobody has questions, if you have questions, please write it on the chat and I'll read it out loud for you. Ms. Khalid, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, Abdul Aziz. Thank you so much for talking about your company. As a student, what type of advice can you give your peer students if they're thinking about or like starting their business? Like like something that you you encountered and you thought, I wish I knew this before I started this.
So, Miss Kulu, the first thing is I believe we're all students, we're all together in this soup. Courses are heavy, everything's heavy, but believe me, Khalifa University is more than supporting. Like I'm not buttering anyone, but I'll be frank. They're more than supporting to welcome ideas. There are ups and downs, but what I believe is like believe in small things, believe in one step by step. Like nothing comes right away. Work for it and make small changes. Like it is not required that your startup be something very hi-fi or very niche. Target smaller businesses that goes step by step, but be consistent. Like there are failures, there are failures, there are problems that come in, but what remains is like how resilient you are and how you face these problems and what you learn from them. Like this might be too philosophical at times, but I believe like don't stop. That's the only part. And use the resources that we have. Like we have course projects. You can make smaller data algorithms, data driven algorithms, which no one has made, and like assist society. Even that's a thing, and failure is a part of it. That's what I believe.
Thank you so much. That's very good.
There's a question I would like to ask you about the research. So I know that it's not just a research startup. It's not just one-step process. There are steps that have to be taken in the middle. Um, there are legal documentation, stuff like that. How did you know where to start or where to go, and what did you do in order to start the process and become formal?
Yeah, it's a long way. It's a long way beyond research. So we pitched the startup to the Khalifa Innovation Center, located in Building A, and they got us the innovator permit for the time being. As for the approvals, especially being a healthcare startup, we need these IRB and ethical approvals. We're in the process of getting some. We have some approvals, but yeah, Khalifa Innovation Center helped us with the initial innovator permit, and the remaining approvals are pending. So we're testing our solution as part of the IRB thing, the ethical approval part, but the health Ministry of Health approval is still pending.
But were there any funds that you had to do, or did the Innovation Center take care of that for you?
Innovation Center promises that, but yeah, obviously there's some basic investments like the website, the PR, the marketing, everything. That was something needed from our end, and even time.
Okay. Isa asks, what are the main problems that you faced when converting your research into a startup?
Well, in research, what you do is you aim to find something new in the market, like something like new that no one else has done. In a startup, you find whether people are going to buy that thing. You might find something really great, like something that's like, oh, it's beyond the stars. But does anyone want that? That's the biggest problem we face, and like convincing people how useful it is. Because you believe in the product, but you have to make others believe too. That
How
was the
did
biggest hurdle.
how did you make them believe?
We're in the process of making people believe by providing our solutions. So we're working with clinicians and providing them like, oh, this is how it looks, this is how it feels, and like, you know, it's we're in the process. Some people have used the conventional gate labs and they find ours like, oh, this is very miniaturized, this is portable, so they're happy. But there are new people, and especially physicians who are a bit senior, like they're a bit aged. They find they're not very technologically savvy, so we're convincing them, and we're in the process with like miniaturized reports catering to their exact needs. So it's going on. It's in the process.
So you felt that a specific age group was less likely to take in your product and you had to spend more time on them.
Yeah, exactly. Like especially aged, like it depends on how technology savvy. Even like at times, you have a 80-year-old grandmother and she's really happy with technology, but sometimes you have people who are like our age group and they don't want all of those technology. So it depends, but not very specifically.
All right, thank you very much. Any other questions? Ms. Khulud, please go ahead.
Okay, take Mahmoud. It's okay. I'll ask later.
Okay. Hamad asks, what do you think contributed most to your achievement, and how long does a business sustain over a time? How to sustain a business over a long time, sorry.
So Mohammed, I won't be able to answer the second part because we're in an early start state, like 8, 10 months in the business till now, and we're in the testing phase approximately. But what contributed is, I believe, being consistent and like learning from the failures. Because we pitched a similar motion capture, motion analysis startup like 3 times before this. People were like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? Especially like we pitched for the space agency, and the end result was how many customers are you going to have? So that was an important question. We shifted it to sports, but then there was a limitation about like why would elite athletes try our product when they already have so many things in the market? So we kept modifying it, and I think our like, support obviously from people and from the team, and eventually like the ability to adapt was something that kept us going on, and that's what we are now.
What are one of the most significant changes that you made to your company on your journey?
We kept changing the customer base, like we kept changing the target. And as
What
for the risk, we're playing, I believe we're taking risk like not that great till now, I'll be frank. Not that great, or maybe I don't find them that great till now.
But throughout the journey, you did not change the look of the product itself. You did not change anything in the product itself because, or did you change it itself? Do you understand what I mean? Feel like
uh, no, not exactly the product, because we believed in our product, we just changed who we sell it to.
I see. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes, please go ahead.
Abdul Aziz, answering like Muhammad asked you how long and how to sustain a business over a long time. I would ask something else. How do you describe success? How do you like identify like what is success for you?
Well, success
In
is
money
twofold.
or exactly like you know starting a startup is it could be very difficult at the beginning. How do you define success?
Well, there's two ways basically. First of all, startups are for making money. I'll be frank on that. But the second thing is, being a healthcare startup, we believe in providing providing us a tool that can assist people even without visiting clinics. So our future target, like our part two, is basically tele-rehab. So we want to assist like those people who are not able to come to the clinic, or even in case. So we found out this one of the biggest problem is like people undergo surgeries even without the need to undergo, because just like the doctor feels visually he needs it and the other reports prove it, but they don't do a mobility check that extensive. I believe with our technology, and we'll be successful with this, that we ensure that a person gets the right treatment because of the use of right tools. And this is a totally non-invasive device. We just stick it to the human body, make them walk, and it's totally outside the human body. We believe the success of Mashyah depends on the success of its users, the patients and the clinicians, both together. And obviously, like the monetary gains come likewise. I hope that's an answer.
Very good, thank you. Mahmoud asked, did you take any risks so far? And
Yeah,
yes, how big is it? How big?
so until now we're trying to play it safe. I'll be frank, but yeah, there are small risks which I don't think it's like that important. Like there's a balance. You have to balance between a lot of things. I think till now it's going safe.
Abdulaziz, I truly, I mean, I think you're very brave to start your startup, and we all want to be entrepreneurs, and I'm talking about myself, and I'm sure everybody here, they have the same feelings. What type of did you have any fears before you started, and if you did, how did you overcome these fears, or the fear?
Well, like the thing is, initially when you pitch it for the first time, though, this is what happens. So you start having expectations from this, like, oh, this works, I'm going to do this. This works, I'm going to do this, and eventually you see you're filtered out because maybe you were not at the right place pitching the same idea. And that moment you step back and you're like, oh. So next time you want to try, if you predict the result from the very beginning, which happens to us, even I predicted it many times. Oh, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. So that's a fear, but I believe in like try, fail once more, and inshallah it works.
Thank you very much. Sarah Al-Ashar asks, how are you going to promote your business and by which means? Like, how do you tell people here?
So at this point, because we are targeting clinicians with our first customer base, we are trying to promote it within the clinics using our own research collaborations and the connections. So we're testing our product at Cleveland Clinic at this point, Neurological Institute. And the next target is we're trying to move around different clinics in Abu Dhabi first, Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Speak to clinicians, tell them about our product, tell them how it's being used, what it can offer. So first of all, it's like just person to person rather than going for big events because this is like a very niche area with clinicians alone involved. But inshallah, when we target these people in sports and lifestyle and all of that, it's going to be like more or less a public social media, PR things and everything that will come. But currently, it's just clinician to clinician.
Thank you very much. Don't you feel like the clinician to clinician market is too limited, or do you believe it's better to focus on one area?
I believe until we get a clinical validation, at least from like say 3, 4 places, and have a trade, have like a name set, like when you start spreading within the clinical industry, for the time being, at least for 1 year, we want to be in the clinical zone and try as well. Like we're open to trying at different places, but we need a validation from the clinician who says yes, this technology is what I need. So initially, yes, 6 months to a year, we want to try this zone, and then we want to move out.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions?
Come on, guys, take advantage of a student. So he's basically, he has the same responsibilities that you have. I'm sure you have a question, so please ask. There is no stupid question here.
So Rashid asks, what is the process if somebody is interested in your technology?
Like in what?
For example, they believe that your technology might be something that they have been looking for and they want to be your customer. Uh, what is the process in order for them to become your customer?
So we were running a free clinical trials. You might have received a mail like late October, November. We were running clinical like trials at Khalifa University as well. We were making people walk with the sensors on. And now at the currently we are based at Cleveland Clinic. So if you and till now it's not making money, so it's not charged for the time being. So not exactly open to healthy. We are still doing it for healthy people as a baseline, but it's not charged. So if you want to get yourself assessed and see how you guys want to walk, you can contact us by email. and we'll arrange you for a session. Like you can come in, we'll attach sensors, make you walk and provide how your joints are performing compared to others. So currently it's open and it's in the trial phase, so it's free for everyone. You're welcome to walk, and yeah, that's how it is.
Could you share your email on this in the description, please? Is that possible?
Sure.
Thank you. Now we have a question from Hassan. What are your plans with the startup in the future? Where do you see that it will go in 1 year, 5 year, and so on?
So we aim at in the end of 1 year, we aim to have at least 4 clinical setups in Abu Dhabi alone. That's the plan. And we're also working on a tele-rehab solution wherein people can perform their workouts. So after the assessment, the physician gives them, even if you go for a normal physiotherapist, he's going to tell you like, do this workout, do that workout. You go home, you perform it. So our plan is to make a tele-rehab tool wherein the person performs the workout using his mobile phones and the clinician knows whether he has performed it right or wrong. That's the part, phase 2 of the product. In the next 2 years, we see that coming.
That seems quite interesting.
Yeah.
It does seem to have a lot of applications. Thank you. Rashid asks, are your services outsourced in hospitals?
Oh. So we are basically we're trying to run a gate lab for the clinic for the hospital. So currently it's a testing phase, so we're not exactly sure of that, but that's the plan. We will be running the services for them.
Thank you. Ali asks, how do you achieve a balance between working on your startup and the rest of your life? It must be time consuming.
That's like a bit what do you say? It's difficult, especially with PhD going on, and like the good part is my advisors are very supportive, so I have some time from that end. But in the end, yes, there are obligations. So time is a most expensive commodity. But yeah, there is some time you can find. It's not that difficult. But like if you go with something that's totally off your research domain or off your main target, right? Then I think it will become difficult because at this point, I can somehow justify like, oh, both ways I'm doing the same thing, something like that.
So it's a bit like when a course is double credit counted. You're
Yeah,
doing,
something.
yeah, okay.
Not exactly the same thing, but like this was my master's thing, so we're continuing stuff. But yeah, time is not there. Not
Ms. Khulud asks, how do you sustain your motivation?
well, when you interact with customers, especially like at this point, we're interacting with clinicians, and they are a source of motivation now. Because if you like at a point you feel low, like, oh, no one is accepting my technology, and you get a call from the clinician, oh, we have this patient coming up, can you please come and check them? So that keeps you up, like, oh, there's someone who's accepting my technology, there's someone who's like interested in what I'm doing. So that is sustaining it for the time being. The acceptance, the
Thank you. Ms. Khulud, please go ahead.
Abdul Aziz, what is your favorite aspect of being an entrepreneur?
freedom.
Oh,
So
okay. Anything else?
well, freedom is the best part. Like, you're not restricted. You can try anything. You can try, and you can try your heart out, and like that's the best part I love about it.
Yeah, that's very good. I think we're all looking for a freedom. Yeah. Okay, guys, any other questions? Please don't be shy. You can ask whatever you want. This is a safe environment where you can, if you have any questions about anything, please do so now. We're not, nobody's gonna judge you. This is a very safe environment, and we're here to learn.
Yeah. While our students think of a question, could you expand more about? Oh, Mahmoud asked a question. Is it only your master degree, or is there anything else that inspired you to develop the idea?
Well, the first inspiration was the master's degree. That was the main thing. But apart from this, you know, I worked in the healthcare sector, like as part of my bachelor's project as well. We made a device for an orthopedic surgeon. It did great, but then there was ups and downs. So I was like roaming around with doctors before that, and they were like, "Yeah, there are a lot of problems which needs to be solved," and this was something which I tackled through the master's degree. So yeah, master's degree was the main inspiration. But yeah, I was like, the issue was existing for a long time, but this was the opportunity to solve it.
Great. Thank you very much. I want you, if it's possible, to expand on the idea of being an employee versus being the founder of a startup. How do you contrast those two perspectives, or how these two lifestyles or working styles, how do you contrast them?
So until now, I'm a student. Like being a PhD student, yes, some call it employment, but with Khalifa, it's a student role. So you have the freedom, at least at Khalifa. You can use that to the maximum extent, I believe. And believe me, being on a job, it's very difficult. But with Khalifa, yes, they are kind of supportive. I'll be frank, they're kind of supportive in what they're providing us the support. Even KIC, they're providing us like a police. They got the license for us. So things are a bit chill out. You can literally use that to your extent if you want to try something out. And the balance is there. And because as I said, my research is the same thing. So it's like I'm both ways. It's my benefit. So that's something that's like keeping me in place, I can say. But being a student at Khalifa, even if you're in masters or a PhD or you're in your bachelor's, courses are a thing, but beyond that, you have time. Use it. That's what I believe. And you have nothing to lose. That's the biggest part.
Thank you. But I do want to expand on your last point about nothing to lose, because a lot of people say that starting a business is really risky and there is no guarantee of winning. So, can you like expand more on what you meant? Or do
I
you think,
believe, we are students. This is what I believe, Noor. We are students, right? Say 25, 27, 28, you finish your PhD. Your education is going on, right? So what are you going to lose? The thing is, you're going to get an experience of the industry before you go even into the industry. Say, for example, may this not happen, but if the things don't work, but that experience that you get over the period of time, right? That experience is like, it's worth more than anything because you interact with people, you learn how the world thinks. Because at 22, 23, you graduate out of bachelor's, you go to industry, you stand there. But when you start small things, maybe it could be anything, selling some commodity, selling a small service, you'll get that interaction so well. And what are you going to lose? Okay, if you invest in the company, yes, there is money to lose. If you invest time, yes, that time is lost, but it all gets you experience, which is something you cannot buy anywhere. Like, I'm not telling you take big risk, like invest a million dirhams and then just wait. It's not that way. Like, invest in step by step and learn from it.
thank you very much. Mahmoud asks, how do you manage your feelings of doubt?
mm. Do istikhara and you'll be happy with whatever doubts you have. Like, you can decide much better with that. This is what I think. Do istikhara, make a decision and stick to it.
So basically, the logic of don't look back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can.
Okay. Thank you very much. Arwa says that she agrees with you. She thinks that you're on a
Thank
good
you.
point. Okay. Any other questions, guys?
Abdul Aziz, can you give us any advice that, I don't know if we asked you all the questions that you probably have things you can share with us. Any advice you can give KU students if they want to start a business?
Ms. Khulud, as I said earlier, we have the time, we have the opportunity, and I believe, so at this point, yes, there is a lot of opportunity. Maybe not as progressive as financially, like rewarding or something, but I think taking small steps. That's what I advise. That's what I've been saying all the while. Like taking small steps in a direction that you're motivated in, and in a direction you believe in. Like you believe like this technology is gonna work, like and this solution is gonna work, or this is the need that someone's asking me for. I think trying small steps and getting step by step, like getting closer to the target. That's what I believe. Be consistent. Don't look back. You fail, you try some other way out. You fail, you try some other way out, and inshallah, in the end, you will end up somewhere that's much better than where you started.
Thank you. I do want to ask you. So, whenever we study about entrepreneurship, it's about careful planning, making a financial plan, LTV, COCA, and stuff like that, and marketing plans and everything like that. And I want to ask you, did you do that? Did you do the plan, and then did you follow the plan, or did you go off course and try to get back to it? What happened to that initial plan that you had, if you had one?
So we were in the incubation for like 3.5 months, and they tried to make all of these plans for us. And eventually, so I'm not a finance guy, or I'm not a business planning guy, but eventually, like you have a plan, you start working on that, but you have to modify a lot. But there is a base plan we have to stick to. There's something you cannot deviate from, but you just keep wearing based on the needs of the society, based on the needs of what is being asked. But yeah, there is a base plan.
Was the plan more important, or was it being flexible?
I think being flexible is more important.
Could you give us examples?
Like you know it depends. Like you start, you think like, okay, first month you'll have three things, two things, and then all of a sudden the ethical approval takes a month longer. This is our case. The ethical approval took a month long. So we were just like, everything was ready, but we cannot do anything to the patients. So that was like, that's something that's naturally happening, which is beyond your control. And then the second part is like you target, like, okay, I'm going to target patients, and then all of a sudden, like, there's a healthy person who's like, I'm walking in. So these are like small modifications. But yeah, so our plan was like to start the trial in Feb, but the IRB approval came late in Feb, so now we are starting. So it's like a delay, and all of those plans shift. So we have to be flexible, and then you end up at a clinician, and he says like, I want this modification to your tool. So that's again, you're trying to be like, okay, I'm trying to sell my product, and I believe even at this point, like, modification is good, but don't forget the original identity, and that's what we are trying to balance at this point.
That does seem difficult to do, though.
Yeah, because he's your end customer, right?
Yeah, I know. It's very difficult. A lot of companies that I hear about these days, they focus on the profit and they forget what the original idea was.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you very much, though. That was an extremely enlightening answer. Does anybody else have any other questions? Muhammad asks, is hustle enough to succeed in a business?
No, it's not enough. You need you need to hustle in the right place, in the right direction. The direction is important.
So basically, it is important to be flexible, to adjust, and to hustle as well. But you also
Yeah.
have to keep a very stern um, uh, orientation of your morals or of your idea of where you want to be.
Yeah. You should have a set goal, like not exactly be very rigid on it, but there should be a tolerance level.
Thank you. It's like an error percentage when you take a value and you're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Like no one's perfect. Like I'm not telling you like I'm getting something. Like it's not very perfect. Even my words could be wrong. But this is what I believe.
thank you very much. We think that what you believe is kind of to be credited because you have started the business and you have experience to some degree. We do trust what you're saying. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I want to ask you, was there any moment in which you thought, I can't continue anymore, like this is it? And what was it? What triggered it?
No, Alhamdulillah, until now it's on the safer side because it's just like I'll be
Yeah,
fine. It's just an early start, 8 months, 9 months. So I think that trigger might come later on, but Alhamdulillah, until now we're at the safe zone.
inshallah, it never comes.
Inshallah.
Any other questions? All right, we're almost done. Okay, Mahmoud asked, what are your long-term goals?
Well, as Mashyah, as I said, we want to roll out in the UAE. We're in the future, even in the Middle East and all of the places, and also provide a telerehab tool
Yeah, so you
in the
want to,
clinic and at home.
yeah. Do you think that Mashyah could expand beyond the UAE?
Yes, we have potential. We are speaking with people all across the Middle East and even in Europe. We are so because we're cashing on our our research collaborators, so we see potential. People see potential in our product, and we also go with the same thinking.
Have you ever seen a company or a product that was at least somewhat similar to yours?
We have done the competitive analysis, and there are people providing solutions like I could name a few, but they are restricted to few particular parameters. Like someone's just providing a force plate, someone's providing only telerehab, someone's providing only video based telerehab. What we aim to provide is quantitative telerehab, quantitative rehab both at the clinic and beyond. So it's like a combination. And there are some big startups which are in the billions of range. Like I am unable to remember the names, but we have the chart, and these are based in the United States. One of them, I think, something with S. So they're providing these solutions. But
Uh,
we believe our technology is more comprehensive, like more detailed than theirs.
so what are some problems that they run into that you think you won't?
Their technology is limited, as I said. Like they just focus on one force plate or one equipment, or maybe some of them don't even have the clinical angle. They just like we're going to provide the solution, and you can bypass the clinician. So we aim to go side by side with the clinician in using our technology, so that angle of verification and validation is still existing.
Okay, Dr. asks, what are some short-term goals that you're working on as we speak?
So currently, the first goal that we have set is we are having the clinical trial at Cleveland, and it's going to run for next 3 to 6 months. Our first goal is to acquire them as a customer after the testing is done. That's the first goal.
Okay, we're nearing the end of the session. So I want to ask you one last question. If anybody else has a question, please ask now. So let's say that I'm a student and I'm taking a course requires a project. I think it might be a business idea. What are the steps that I might take? I'm not a PhD student. I'm not anything like that. I'm just somebody with an idea. What are some success steps that you think one should follow?
I believe if you find like a project that's gonna make you something as a business idea, this is what I believe. So I'm a mechanical guy, and I'll be frank. Before coming to Khalifa, my language with programming was not that great. This is frankly speaking. I took few courses here. I learned some programming, and eventually we built on it, and we ended up with some algorithms. And alhamdulillah, now the algorithms work really fine. So I believe use every course, every opportunity as a tool, learn from it, and eventually learn from it and get what you are getting from that particular course and make it into a business.
Thank you. Muhammad has one last question, I believe. He asks, what are your hobbies?
Well, I'm a boring person, but yeah, I like to jog a lot. That's one of the main place where I spend a lot of time on the track. But other than that, nothing specific, nothing special.
Great. I think this is about it. It might be about time to end the session. Thank you very much. Do you have any last words?
The only thing is, as I said, we have the resources, we have the opportunity. Use it, try it, and inshallah, we see, inshallah, many more startups coming up and many more successful startups coming up.
Thank you very much for these enlightening words. It was much a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much. Pleasure's mine.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Abdul Aziz. Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.